just getting that inspiration. How does that happen for you?
Look, that's great. Another great question, to be honest, Helen. But I think inspiration is around all of us, and it can certainly come to us at any stage from any avenue. You've just got to have your mind open and your eyes open to be able to see where you can find inspiration. But I think ultimately, your biggest inspiration needs to be yourself, and I don't say that from a confidence or egotistical perspective. I believe that you have to have that self-awareness, and also that trust in your own creativity, trust in your own vision, and trust in your own judgment, whether that is, creatively or from a business perspective as well.
Hello, and welcome to It's So Much More Than Hair. I have the most amazing guest with me today, Tracey Hughes, who has been an industry innovative leader for many, many years. I'm so happy to have her with me. She has been a director of her business, education, and her salon as a successful salon owner and employer. She has been inducted into the Hall of Fame, which makes it even more amazing to have her with us. I'm so proud. She is an industry award winner, a leader in fashion and editorial and photography, inspirational, and has been a massive, huge giver of education to our industry for many years. So I would like to, without further ado, welcome Tracey and just ask you, like, how did this all begin?
Wonderful. Well, Helen, thank you so much for this wonderful invite today. Obviously, I've had the pleasure of knowing you for many years through the industry, so I'm truly humbled to be able to contribute to your wonderful podcast. So congratulations on all your success. And of course,
Thank
I'm
you.
really looking forward to enjoying the time being able to have a chat with you today. And obviously, just share some industry insights, perhaps with your audience and your stylist community that you've got. And of course, at the end of the day, that's where my passion lies. I always believe that any leader or anyone in education needs to have the heart of a servant. So I'm here to be of service today, and looking forward to seeing what type of intriguing questions you ask as well today. So yes, thank you.
Yeah. So I know, like, I remember interviewing you many, many years ago when you came and did some platform work for us when I was working in education at one of the local TAFEs down here. And you went through I remember you were telling me you were Vidal Sassoon trained. So that's, or you went through that sort of that program of training, which has contributed to such beautiful work that you've been able to bring to the industry. Can you talk a little bit about that, maybe?
Yeah, look, I started my hairdressing career back in the UK, and I worked for a great company called Christopher Boyton, and I had
Yeah.
phenomenal mentors at the time, and the whole philosophy was very much Sassoon training.
Mm-hmm.
However, obviously that I think has evolved over the years into my own individual style as
Mm-hmm.
well. But I do feel exceptionally grateful that I had a fabulous start to my career back in England and had an incredible apprenticeship. And it certainly set up my philosophy towards education for many, many years to come, obviously in the future. And I came to Australia many years ago as a very young backpacker and on a 1 year visa, like most English people do. And I fell in love with Australia so much that I decided, obviously, to call Australia my home. And I'm very grateful that I've lived in this incredible country for over 30 years, as well as a 5 year stint where I lived in the US as well. So, yes, I had an incredible start to my career, and I definitely think it set me up for success for all the future activities and opportunities that I certainly had for many years to follow.
Yeah, right. So when you came to Australia, where did you first land? Did you come to New South Wales or Queensland or
Yeah,
Victoria?
Melbourne. Melbourne was very
Hmm.
much my home for many years. I think Melbourne is an incredible city. I've been very blessed to travel the world. I've worked in about 30 different countries now, I think, and I've lived in three different countries. And I can honestly say Melbourne is probably in my top three cities worldwide. It's got
Mm.
such great culture, great food, great fashion. It's got a thriving hairdressing industry in Melbourne as well. And I opened my very first salon in Smith Street in Collingwood in Melbourne back in 1997. So I don't live in
Wow.
Melbourne obviously anymore, and I think the weather turned me off after living there for so many years. I wanted to live somewhere a lot warmer, but it's an incredible city, yeah. And I had my first salon established there as well.
Yeah, right. It's very cold here in Melbourne at the moment,
I can
unlike where you
imagine.
are. Yeah. Um, yeah. So out of that, like, yeah, you had, that's when the um the competition work began when you had the salon, or prior to that, did you start entering
Great question,
competitions?
Helen. A lot of it all started obviously once I became a business owner myself. So, like
Mm.
most young stylists at the time, I probably didn't have enough knowledge of the business side of things. So, I endeavored to throw myself into as many learnings as I possibly could from a business perspective. And I had a very clear vision to build a brand. So, doing awards for me was never about, I guess, stroking my own ego. For me, it was very much a marketing tool. We had the privilege of winning Salon of the Year numerous times, many years in a row, and that was amazing for building the business, and obviously attracting new clientele. And then, of course, the reputation that we built around craftsmanship, service excellence, etc., as well at the time, really elevated the business to grow to another level. So the awards were an incredible marketing tool. And then also when I
Mm.
established my own education company as well at the same time, winning awards such as Educator of the Year, Hairdresser of the Year, Colorist of the Year, elevated my own profile within the industry. So then that way it meant that stylists naturally wanted to come along to the seminars or shows or workshops and classes that I was running as well. So I'm grateful for the awards. But as I
Mm.
say, I think for giving advice to anyone else, perhaps that's looking at maybe entering any competitions or awards, I never did it for the purpose of winning. I always did it for the self-satisfaction of being able to create beautiful work, to be able to challenge
Mm.
myself to think about some new trends, perhaps as well. And also the challenge of being able to produce beautiful imagery for the awards. And I look back now, I haven't obviously entered awards for many years now. Once I actually was exceptionally humble to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Biggest shock of my life, by the way. But after
Wow.
that, I kind of said, that's enough. I'm going to take a back seat. Obviously, I want to support the next generation coming through uh, for award-winning opportunities as well. And that really set me up well because that put me on the path then as well to shoot a lot of campaigns, working with a lot of designers, working with a lot of hair care brands, and being able to know how to interpret a brand image, a brand message and voice enabled me to lead a lot of campaigns moving forward from that. But if I hadn't got the experience in shooting in the early days, I certainly wouldn't have the experience now to know how to build a brand and create that from a photographic perspective as well.
Yeah, definitely. And you are so good at that. Like I remember again having you at our TAFE helping us and our students create some photographic images, which are still, I
Right. So I
know
remember
the
that. That was a lot
yeah,
of fun. Yeah, it was
yeah, it
cool.
was so good. And I'm not sure if you knew that one of our teachers who at the time did one of the hairstyles that was coached by you actually took that photo away and won a competition with it. Did you
I
know that?
do remember. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was
such a
amazing. Very
beautiful.
proud moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And those images I still believe are used today. So
Wow.
that's how
Okay. There
timeless they are. Yeah,
you
just
go.
even well,
Excellent.
yeah, yeah. So such beautiful work. And yeah, it just staying ahead of that that, yeah, that inspiration. Like, I don't know, can you talk about that at all? Like just being able to, that, when you're sort of like at that cutting edge of, yeah, I know it's a hard question, but just getting that inspiration, how does that happen for you?
Look, that's great. Another great question, to be honest, Helen. But I think inspiration is around all of us, and it can certainly come to us at any stage from any avenue. You've just got to have your mind open and your eyes open to be able to see where you can find inspiration. But I think ultimately, your biggest inspiration needs to be yourself, and I don't say that from a confidence or egotistical perspective. I believe that you have to have that self-awareness, and also that trust in your own creativity, trust in your own vision, and trust in your own judgment, whether that is, creatively or from a business perspective as well. And so for me, I've always been, I guess, fairly naturally confident. And I like to push myself and challenge myself out of my own comfort zone, because to me, that's where the greatest growth comes from, is the more you step out of your comfort zone. So I guess I just look at things and go, right, I've ticked that box, I've done this, and I loved what I created there. Or I go, okay, that was a great learning journey, but perhaps that wasn't as fabulous. What can I take away from that? What can I learn? So always having that mentality of being the student yourself, particularly
Mm.
when you're in a position of influence where you're helping other people grow, you still have to keep that mindset of being a learner. So I'm always open to learning from others, growing from others, but at the same time, the greatest growth comes from just trusting my own instincts, trusting my own creativity, and trusting my experience that I have now as well. And that's where I can challenge myself, push the boundaries a little bit further, and always looking at how can we reinvent ourselves, how can we stay relevant. The industry is going through dramatic changes over the past X amount of years, and everyone needs to have that vision of staying relevant and up to date, and having a vision of looking where is the future going as well. So inspiration from any avenue can be all around us. You just need to be open to be able to want to absorb that inspiration wherever you can.
Yeah. So I really relate to that. So true. So where do you see the industry going? Or yeah, like what
Well,
vision do
that's the
you do
million
you
and one
have for
dollar
that?
question,
Yeah.
isn't it, to be honest, Helen? It's
Yes,
a,
it
it's a massive
is.
discussion we could have for hours, to be honest.
Yeah,
And
you're right.
I know there's some incredible conversations I have with many industry people who have influenced as well. And look, I had many conversations probably over 10 years ago about the change of the industry and the rise of freelancers, etc. And I think a lot of people, particularly in Australia, didn't necessarily at the time see it coming. But of course, with me relocating and moving to the US, and the business models for salon ownership is very different in the US. There is a lot more freelance model over there than the traditional salon model. So I
Mm,
saw that with obviously having that opportunity of living in the US. When I sold my salons, I moved over to the US and went into corporate leadership for hair care development and education and digital transformation. So I had amazing opportunities in the US and phenomenal, like seriously phenomenal growth, from a learning perspective and a growth perspective. But I
mm,
also saw the change. And obviously, with social media has been around for a long time, certainly not going to go away. And it's certainly an incredible tool that everyone can utilize. But that definitely changed the education space, because education became so much more accessible to everyone from a digital perspective as well. And then, of course, we've gone through a pandemic as well, which has also shifted people's priorities. We've all determined that family comes first, and obviously that's always been and always will be the number one human choice of what's our priority in life, will always generally be our family. And even if you're super driven and you've got a phenomenal career, putting family first is super important. And I think the pandemic taught all of us a little bit more gratitude in life. But it's been
mm.
a challenging time. It's been a very tough time economically, and coming out of the pandemic has been a very tough time for small business owners in particular, and also for major corporates as well. The economic climate has impacted everyone. So we need to
Yeah.
now look at where is the future of the industry going. So we're seeing a decline in apprenticeships, of course, we're seeing a decline in salon ownership, but we are obviously naturally seeing an increase in freelancers. So whether that
Mm,
be a suite model, whether that be a rent-a-chair model, whether that be a collab model, or whether larger salons are consolidating down to smaller locations and becoming more boutique salons, etc., or whether bigger salon groups are franchising, etc. There's so many different avenues that you can have when it comes to being a stylist as to what fits each individual and what they're looking for. And that's the difference now. I'm
mm,
always been a big believer that the next generation, no matter what generation you sit in, the next generation is the future, and we need to celebrate the youth. And
mm,
so all of us that have experience need to be able to be giving back to the youth. And there's nothing more rewarding from a self-satisfaction perspective than giving back to others. So we
true.
need to support the youth. We need to support their vision, and their desires now in the workplace are very different, perhaps, to when some other generations were younger. So even for some of those established salon ownership generations, they just need to learn to be agile, would
Mm,
be the word that I would say. Is the agility is super important, that we make everyone happy and have that flexibility in the workplace. And obviously, we're seeing trends change, but in reality, trends only really change dramatically. And when I say dramatically, like a major shift in trends is actually every 30 years. And
mm,
so it's seasonal changes that influence trends. But ultimately, at the end of the day, as any stylist would all agree with me, it's about what the consumer wants. And it's about us
absolutely.
making, our clients look and feel beautiful. And that
Hmm.
translates down from whether you're in a corporate leadership role, whether you're in an education, sales, brand management role, whether you're a salon owner, or whether you're an individual freelance stylist. Ultimately, it's about creating beautiful hair and making people feel fabulous about that. And obviously having great products to support those creations and having a fabulous work environment to be in.
So true. So true. And in that answer, you've just covered so many facets of our industry there. But I think ultimately, um, it, it, I wonder whether the hairdresser who wants to go into business nowadays wants the business or wants the self management of their career, and that's why they choose that smaller model or that rent a chair situation, or that sort of freelance situation, as opposed to being a business owner nowadays. I don't, like, but we can have it either way, can't we? So, you know
Totally agree, Helen. Like you can have it either way. As again, it comes down to what each individual person's choices are in life and in their business. And we all need to respect that one
mm,
business model doesn't fit all anymore. And so,
mm,
some people may be driven by flexibility of roster, of wanting to choose their own hours and work when they want to, work around their
mm,
lifestyle choices or to work around their family obligations, etc. But then there might be some people that also want to be a leader and have a team of their own so they can build their own team. So it really does come down to, from a business perspective, what floats your boat in reality. And not everyone wants the business responsibility either, managing the finances. And
mm,
not every hairdresser will have maybe the training or the background knowledge of understanding how to navigate the financial side of a business. And a lot of people I know do support, rely on business coaches, etc. And it's hard when you're self-employed to keep that natural self-motivation going as well. So ultimately, whether, I say, you're an individual operator or whether you're part of a group or whether you're in corporate, all that is irrelevant. It's also about having a community of support around you. And that's what's so unique and special about the hair and beauty industry, is the
mm,
fact that we are very much a community. And I've had the
definitely.
opportunity as a speaker to, do many keynote speakings outside of hair and beauty as well, in some retail environments and into a lot of women's empowerment situations as well. And because I'm all about, women supporting each other, and especially in our industry that is over 85% female as well. But in saying that, it is about that community. And I see in other industries, it may not have the community feel as much as what we do have. So what I love about our industry is that desire to want to keep learning, to want to still
Mm,
keep being creative, to want to also build those relationships and those connections. And, I've had an incredible career in every aspect across our industry. But ultimately, what I love and will always love the most is the connections and the relationships. It brings the human element into any career of what we do.
absolutely. I totally agree. And I feel like the culture of our industry, when you're talking to another hairdresser, we just get each other. We just,
Yeah,
immediately, as soon as you
definitely.
meet another hairdresser, it's kind of like clunk, you just sort of like fit in together, and you just know what each other goes through, in their journey through the industry. It's
Oh, totally. Like, I'll give you an example. I was chatting to one of my neighbors this week, and she's retired, and I've got a great relationship whenever we both walk our dogs, and then whenever we bump into each other, etc. I always have a chat. But because she's retired, I never actually knew what she did. I
yeah,
just found out she's a hairdresser. She's an ex-hairdresser. I thought, well, there you go. That natural
yeah,
connection was there as well. So
yeah,
yes,
yeah. And I
yeah,
just, I still don't have words to kind of explain what I feel we actually do for society but I just feel that, like, we play such a huge role in the 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 well-being of society, without, people look at hairdressing as, oh, why don't you just become a hairdresser? You just stand there and talk all day and play with hair. But we do that when we know what we're doing, but we don't do that on the journey to there. We It's very, very hard work to get to that point, isn't it? So
definitely. And
um
I think you've hit the nail on the head around the well-being aspect. Again,
mm,
going through a pandemic, I think consumers' perception of hairdressers really elevated to a much higher level of respect because all of a
mm,
sudden they had regrowth and
yeah.
they had haircuts growing out and they were trying to do their own hair at home, etc. during the pandemic. And it really gave a lot more respect and greater awareness to our industry as a whole, which I truly believe is needed. So I'll share a little
Mm,
story of when I was younger, when I was at school, and I was very fortunate to, I guess, be a grade A student. So I was planning on going to university to do a combined degree in law and politics. And I woke up one day and said, I don't really want to do this. I want to be a hairdresser. And so when I sat down with my headmaster and my careers teacher and said to them, I'm not going to go to university, I want to do a hairdressing apprenticeship, I was told that I was throwing my life away. I was told that I was too smart to be a hairdresser. And look, I know from many industry connections that I've had, there's a lot of stories. Mine's not dissimilar to many other young
mm,
hairdressers as well, where perhaps their parents or careers teachers, headmasters, etc., have not encouraged them to go down
mm-hmm,
the path of an apprenticeship or go down the path
mm-hmm,
of a creative industry, and always want them to naturally go into higher education instead. And ultimately, I was very blessed. My mum was very supportive. She was like, just do whatever you want to do, whatever makes you happy. And she's been very proud of obviously the achievements that I've had. And regardless of whether I'd become a lawyer or whether I'd be a hairdresser, I think no matter what I'd chosen to do, I would have been successful because of my own
mm,
personal drive. And
mm-hmm.
that's what it comes down to. But I would love all of us to be spokespeople for our incredible industry and encourage, obviously, youngsters, the next generation, the youth coming into the industry so much more, and
Mm.
to really drive and keep elevating that consumer perception of what our industry is about. One, as a career opportunity, and two, as a service worth paying for.
Yeah, most definitely. Like, only last year, I rang a school and I wanted to go out there and talk to the school about a career in hairdressing, and the careers teacher said to me, "Oh no, our students aren't interested in in that." And I just
Yeah.
and I just
Oh,
thought, oh gosh, so who makes those decisions for our youth today? Like, I had a video planned of all sort of industry leaders that had done really well in the industry, and the careers that they'd carved out for themselves to take there and promote the industry. But yeah, that it was an insignificant career path according to the careers teacher. So I thought, how are we going to get, these creative kids back into our industry if if we can't access them, right from school, coming through
Yeah.
school. Like we can, we just
Okay.
have
I
to,
mean,
we've got to find our
I'm
way.
not. That's it. Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. Very
yeah,
well said. I'm just going to say, I'm not a parent myself. I wasn't blessed to be able to have children, but my husband and I, we always talk about if we did have children, we got fur babies,
yeah.
and but we always say that we would want them to have their own choices, of
Mm,
course. It thinks the hardest job in life is to be a parent, and ultimately, every parent wants what's best for their children. But of course, when they're in an educational system that perhaps isn't giving them as many options, then yeah, it makes it a little bit challenging to think, how do we attract them into our industry? How do we get them to see that, it is cool? Like, I'm married to an executive chef, and chefing's always been seen as cool. I want to be a
mm,
chef, but more so than I would want to be a hairdresser. But however, now, post pandemic, as an executive chef, Simon is struggling to
mm,
find staff himself. And,
mm,
he's finding that the craftsmanship is not there as much, which of course some people are seeing in the industry, in the hairdressing industry as well. And a
mm,
lot of it is about trend. So you think about the trend of longer hair and lived-in trends, lived-in colors, then
mm-hmm,
of course that means that short hair is not as much of a trend. So the skill may drop slightly, but it's the same also across hospitality and many, many other industries as well, where those skills will shift based upon trends as well. And as I say,
mm,
being married to an executive chef, he's certainly seeing it in hospitality. So it's not just our
mm.
industry that's having the challenges. There's a skill shortage pretty much across most industries, and particularly in trades, of course,
Yeah,
as well. And, everyone's trying to earn a living. And of course, if we had higher, more attractive salaries, etc., in our industry, it would make it more appealing for obviously the next generation to want to come and be part of this industry too.
yeah, definitely. But look, I see, I know hairdressing does sit at that minimum wage um bracket, but I would say there are many salon owners out there paying their staff above award wages, and
There are,
also,
yes, very much so.
yeah, staff actually earning good money, really good money,
Yeah,
So, and ones
like,
that, like, actually, you taught my daughter Grace how to cut hair when she was working at in Geelong at a salon at Darren or Barb Grayson.
yes,
So you went
yeah.
down and taught Grace, and she just took off, and now Grace is a successful salon owner herself. And
So
she
beautiful to
has,
hear.
yeah. So, and you're an inspiration to her. So,
Oh, thank
but
you.
oh, not but and
No, she was beautiful. So I'm really happy to hear how successful she's been.
yeah, it's I'm proud to watch her, not just because she's my daughter, but
Cool.
because I like to see the industry thrive, and thrive in a way where business can be successful as well, and have like she would be one of Geelong's biggest employers. She has 3 salons, and the
Excellent.
girls, she's got both people who rent and people who choose to stay employed. And I feel like, some of them actually do choose to be employed because it's a safer option. They know they're getting their wage every week. They've got a mortgage, they've got a car loan, that sort of
Exactly.
thing. Yeah, so there's lots and lots of benefits to actually having, seeing your apprenticeship through, and sticking at it, and actually just, creating a good foundation for yourself. It is a good career path, probably a lot
Very
better than
much
what
so.
it was when I was younger. So yeah.
Yeah, and of course, again, it does come down to those personal choices, as you were just saying, that there's a lot of stylists that want job security as well.
Mm,
And so it's wonderful that they can have that opportunity to look at different avenues. But ultimately, everyone wants to be in a happy workplace, wants to
mm,
be in a workplace where they feel supported, appreciated, with gratitude, and obviously financially as well. And that security is important for a great deal of people, whether you're self-employed or whether you're working for someone else as well. And there's this obviously incredible organization, organizations that offer so many opportunities. It's just finding the right fit.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
That's right. That's right. And like you said about just earlier on in the conversation, it is actually about re aligning yourself with the needs of the people coming into the industry today, because
definitely.
they are different. They're different to what we were. And
Exactly.
when you get someone who's actually like a little like what we were, it's amazing, and you kind of like want to hold on to those people, but you have to actually really just adapt that the majority of people are not the same anymore, and we have to work with that.
But and I
Yeah.
think the one thing, and it's not just about the current climate. I think this would probably be I guess a socio-economic situation across every generation that's ever been, so to speak, without getting too philosophical. But I believe that, you know, every generation has something to share that's quite unique. But I think each generation needs to learn from each other as well.
Mm,
When we talk about relevancy, so for maybe the Gen Xers and the baby boomers, etc., perhaps who aren't as digitally savvy, learning from, the millennials and the Gen Ys, etc., and the young generation coming through now around the digital aspect. And it's something that I've always taken a very strong, keen interest in. And obviously, I've led digital transformation for a brand previously. And for me personally, again, that was about staying up to date and relevant as much as we possibly can. So I think it doesn't make any difference what age you are, what level of experience you've got. Ultimately, it's about where your passion lies and what your purpose is. Everyone
mm,
needs to have a purpose. I mean, obviously some of us want to go to work, do a job, get paid, come home and be happy. But I still believe there needs to be a sense of purpose behind what we do. And that's what's so
mm,
unique about hairdressers. They do have that sense of purpose because obviously we're in a service industry where we're giving to others. And,
mm.
there's so many incredible stylists that have phenomenal talents out there, creating beautiful work, beautiful hair every day, and making people feel absolutely fabulous. And that is truly special.
It is that's the whole core of what we do, isn't it? Really, and walking away at the end of the day and knowing that those clients have left feeling and looking beautiful is actually what makes us happy at the end of the day, isn't it? Like,
Definitely.
yeah.
No,
Uh,
look, I'm very grateful to have had an amazing career and to still keep having an amazing career in this phenomenal industry. I've still got many years left to want to be
mhm.
able to give, and
Yeah.
I'm really super grateful to be able to have this chat with you as well today.
Thank you so much, Tracey. It's been absolutely wonderful. And like all hairdressers, we could keep talking forever.
Totally.
But I don't want to keep you make you late for your next appointment. But I've just got a couple of little questions just to wrap it up.
Go.
So, what would be your most inspirational or memorable moment in hairdressing? I'd probably no, I don't want to answer that
I
for
can
you.
answer that straight away,
I
to
know
be
what's
honest.
coming.
I know
Yes.
what my most memorable moment is, and it was when I launched Leading Ladies in the US. So when I
Right.
moved over to America, I got to know some of these incredible women that were leaders in the industry in the States, and they all had very selfless hearts. And they all wanted to give back to the industry so much more. And one day I just literally woke up with this concept in my mind of creating a panel discussion with these incredible women. And I created a new brand, and it was a not-for-profit. And being able to create a not-for-profit, and the brand was called Leading Ladies, which eventually I evolved into Leading Legends as well. But the very first event that we did at a trade show at Premier Orlando in Florida. And in the main stage auditorium, it seats 2,500 people. Now, we had a completely full, jam-packed room of 2,500 stylists in that room. We had
Amazing.
5 women on that stage with our token male MC. And literally, we had the audience in laughter. We had the audience in tears. It was a very unique situation where we ripped the barriers down. We talked authentically about the challenges as wives girlfriends, mothers, daughters, etc., about what we go through, life on the road, life in the limelight, life running a business, and all the challenges that we went through. People shared very heartfelt, deep stories that really moved and touched the audience, but also they gave superlative business advice as well. And we got two standing ovations at the end. We spent 3 hours having our photographs taken with all the 2,500 attendees afterwards. And then I created many, many more leading ladies events after that, all across the US and Canada. And then I evolved it into Leading Legends and brought the biggest icons of the industry together for Leading Legends. So I can honestly say, being able to be in a position to create a not-for-profit and give back to the industry, the very, very first Leading Ladies event that we ever did is the most special moment of my entire career that I'll cherish forever. And naturally, everyone would assume that my biggest career moment would be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Well, that's what I thought.
Yeah, that was
But
what everyone would expect me to say. But I can honestly say, look, that was an honor that I will always be humbled by, and the biggest shock of my life, to say the least.
yeah,
However, that opportunity with Leading Ladies to give back is my proudest moment, I would say, and it's a
huge.
memory I will always cherish for the rest of my life.
That is absolutely phenomenal. It's really heartwarming to even hear how that evolved and how successful that was for you. It's amazing. It's beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, look, we took it on the road for about 4 or 5 years, so it was incredible what we achieved with it. And I ended up having, I think, about 22 from memory, women on all the different Leading Ladies events, and I will always have incredibly deep friendships with all of them because of what we shared together. And I am always going to be full of gratitude for what they gave to obviously all the attendees that came along to all of those events.
Fabulous. Okay, and just a bit of a quirky question. Who does Tracey
Yes.
Hughes's hair?
Oh, do you really want me to answer that one? Okay. I don't think I should answer it on a podcast, but I'm going to be very honest and tell you the
Yeah,
truth. Myself.
yeah. Well, you're not the only one that's actually
I
answered a
foil my
question
own
like
hair.
that.
So
Well,
I actually do highlights on myself, but I also have a very dear friend that's very close that does the back for me, and I still do the fronts. But yes, I perhaps shouldn't be admitting that, but that's what I do. So no, I've obviously got some deep friendships and some phenomenal stylists that I would put my absolute trust in. But yes, I've got one of my
yeah,
closest friends that takes care of me generally.
that's that's great. And like I said, you wouldn't be the only one that would answer that question the same way. I think all of it's
Yeah,
like a
of
typical
course.
tradie, isn't it? Like,
What's a hairdresser? Always a hairdresser, and you'll always play with your own hair. There's no doubt about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'd do my own hair if I didn't wear glasses. I can hardly see.
Yeah.
Anyway, and just lastly, any advice that you have for anyone entering the industry coming in?
Look, I
You've
think
pretty
anyone coming
much,
into the industry is, come in with being a learner, get your classic skills and your foundations really strong to begin with. Really focus on your craft and your knowledge and your skills, and that obviously will grow your confidence so much more. Find a mentor or mentors. Get some really good mentorship from others to keep growing. Never say no to any opportunity that's presented to yourself because you never know where that's going to take you. Obviously,
mm,
always put the best intentions for your clients first and take care of your clientele. Obviously, learn all aspects of the industry and from a business perspective as well as from a creative perspective. And then ultimately, as you grow throughout your career, then be grateful for that mentorship you had in your early stages and then reverse it and give it back to others.
mm,
Yeah.
great advice.
Thanks.
Are you coaching or mentoring at the moment, Tracey?
Look, I only do very, very limited exclusive opportunities. I am blessed to be in a big leadership role in a large company. So that is obviously where my dedication lies. But I do
Mm,
obviously still offer I guess, some individual perspectives as far as mentorship. But yes, no, I don't actually provide any coaching as such. Yeah.
Yeah. So if people wanted to reach out to you, you would be
They can reach out to me
a
on
little bit.
Instagram. That's my playground basically. So if
Yeah.
anyone wants to connect and follow with me on Instagram, it's at Tracey Hughes EDU. I'm also across Facebook and LinkedIn as well. But I have people sending me DMs all the time. I'm always
Mm,
offering advice, guidance, and I'll always contribute and give back. And I'll always still be active with industry events and unique situations where I can still give back through education. And of course, I still do quite a lot of keynote speaking. So I will always do that from the opportunity of being able to support the industry. And I do get to MC a lot of industry events and industry awards nights and things like that as well. And I love nothing more than just being around other stylists.
that's so good. We are so blessed to have you. And I am so grateful and blessed to have had this conversation with you. Thank you so much.
Oh, I've loved reconnecting with you, Helen. It's been
Yeah.
amazing. It's been fabulous to know you for so many years and to also see your journey, be part of your journey, because, as a teacher in the TAFE system, you've contributed to the lives of so many young apprentices
Mm,
that, that should never go unnoticed. You've done an incredible job, and I'm very proud
thank
to
you.
know you.
Thank you so much. Well, have a wonderful day. And I'd love to chat to you again in the not too distant future, but at some stage it'd be great to reconnect. And thank
Fabulous.
you.
Absolute pleasure. You are most welcome. Have a wonderful day. And thanks, guys, for tuning in.
Thank you. Thanks, Tracey.